for the road. And it's turned out to be one of the greatest marketing campaigns in automotive history.
Intense public interest. Well, that's putting it mildly.
This came out at a time when the idea of a car for the common man still had not reached a large part of the earth, and here was Americans driving around in jet-powered cars with 5 cigarette lighters in them, just crazy.
Everything about the turbine car is cool. Everything.
It stood up against the naysayers, we'll never have a turbine car. Well, we had one, and it still exists.
There were 55 made. There's only 9 that are left.
It's become an icon in the automotive world. It's a symbol of engineering excellence and also the future of what it could be.
Here it is. The precise language of the engineer, it's called a jet propulsion gas turbine. To you and me, it's the jet engine.
The idea of a turbine engine, it's actually very simple.
A turbine is a highly advanced use of one of man's oldest means for creating power to do work.
Well, a pinwheel. You can pick up a pinwheel again, you blow on it, and it turns. That's what a turbine does. Blast air through a winged rotor, and you can do a lot of things with that rotor.
A turbine engine, basically, is you have a tube with fan blades inside of it. And air comes in one end, and it goes into a combustion chamber, which creates fire and heat, which blasts out the back past another set of fan blades. These fan blades are on a shaft connected to the first set of fan blades. It causes the ones in the front to spin and suck in more air. And it creates constant combustion, blasting the air out the back. If you look at how fast aircraft design accelerated during World War I or World War II, it seems that a lot of technology is driven by military applications. People want to find what's best or fastest or strongest, and also usually because there's an unlimited budget behind it.
Military jet-powered airplanes, they started to appear just at the end of World War II. You'd see them fly over or hear them, they made a different kind of noise. And they could go like hell. They were much faster than the propeller did.
This is the turbine jet. The power that is driving the fighters of today through the sonic barrier.
You get a much smaller, lighter engine putting out much more power. That's what a jet engine could do. In aviation, that was a terribly attractive characteristic. They had completely taken over the military high-performance airplanes, and they were starting to take over the commercial airline business at that point.
Near sonic speed,
Pan American.
One of the most stunning discoveries. There is no feeling of movement at all. A new concept in air transportation.
Chrysler's turbine development really started in the late 1930s, picked up a lot during World War II, was the development of a turboprop engine. It was a Navy contract.
The A-86 was the gas turbine aircraft program. The engine was successful, but by then the war had ended.
You can run them off of
The
anything.
itself had sparked interest.
Some of the people who worked on that program naturally thought, we work at a car company. Could we take that engine and instead of turning a prop, turn a drive shaft?
It's not anything more insurmountable than we've done with piston engines. It's just nobody's ever done it.
Some competitive automotive engineers see no practical future for the turbine engine, but Chrysler Corporation engineers could see something worth striving for.
You have to think about what was going on in the country in the 50s and 60s.
Realization of the American dream. Envy of the entire world.
Everything was kind of upbeat because we had come out of this horrible world war and we were heading into a time of economic prosperity.
We just were the leaders, right? We were the best, That was our role in the world, to lead.
You had Sputnik, you had the space race.
America's farthest stride into outer space.
You had jet travel coming into vogue.
The whole jet age thing, it just sort of caught up.
A lot of times, the styles and the fashions are shaped by the technology of the times and vice versa.
We all knew the thin cars in the 50s, starting with Cadillac.
Harley Earl had copied the look of the P-38 with the tail fins.
Very obvious big fins on the back of the car. And then Chrysler got into enormous ones. But that was all, I think, a reflection of that sense of aerodynamic styling.
No wonder that amid such promise of adventure, the rising generation should crane its neck skyward to the streaking silver that bespeaks tomorrow.
a lot of people started believing that technology was advancing much, much faster than it had been previously. Everyone thought someday down the road we'll have flying cars, jetpacks. So it didn't seem that far out of line that somebody said, oh, by the way, we can make jet-powered cars.
Putting the same smooth power into family cars has long been an engineering dream. But the challenge to the automotive engineer is much more difficult.
They did a comparison of jet engines and automotive turbine requirements, and nothing could have been farther apart. I mean, jet engines gobble fuel like a lion in a herd of gazelles.
Its flaming breath is white-hot gas, fed by drafts of liquid fuel. What's that gallon go?
They don't idle very well, and they just aren't built for automobiles. So it meant a whole rethinking of the turbine concept.
An aircraft with
Compressed
an engine
air.
on it is pushed simply by the hot air coming out the back. In an automotive setting, it's much different.
There are really two major steps to powering a gas turbine automotive engine. The first stage turbine does nothing but
If
drive
it
the
can
compressor
suck
wheel
the air
and
in.
whatever accessories there are, like generator and oil pump.
You don't need to
There's
put
a second stage
gas
turbine,
in it.
Also running at high speed, 40, 50,000. And obviously that's too high for the rear wheel axle. So there's about a 10-to-1 set of reduction gears that drives the car.
The turbine would be considered the bleeding edge, the very height of an automobile. And that's the way most people looked at it. Well, wow, this is a jet car, even though it really wasn't a jet car.
Jet engine just took all that gas and blew it out the back. We made use
You
of
didn't
it
even
in
need,
the
you don't need
mechanics to
gasoline.
propel the wheels.
There was logic to it. I mean, the engine has a lot of attractive characteristics that if they could be adapted to the automobile engine, make them very, very popular.
The turbine engine looks different on the outside because it's definitely different on the inside.
The parts inside the turbine are spinning, whereas the parts inside of a piston engine are reciprocating, going back and forth. They shake, they vibrate, they make noise. Something that spins can be smoother.
You've got an engine, unlike any other engine in an automobile, that put out absolutely no vibration.
The driver felt that smoothness, which you don't feel in a piston engine car.
And with fewer moving parts. There were no piston, no crankshaft, no rod, no valve train.
The turbine engine is like 1/4 of the parts.
It was about 200 pounds lighter than a standard combustion engine.
That's the interesting part. Low maintenance, one spark plug.
Maybe once every 50,000 miles, put a new spark plug in it, but never change the oil.
Never change the oil.
And then also it'll run on any liquid that burns.
You could run on unleaded gasoline, JP4 jet fuel, kerosene.
Diesel, home heating oil, VO5 hairspray.
We've heard stories that one that was in France that ran on Chanel No. 5 perfume.
I went down to Dothan, Alabama for the Peanut Festival, and we ran the vehicle on peanut oil, and it smelled like a Chinese restaurant. People were amazed.
In South Africa, they would
Peanut oil.
We said this car would run on cognac. So, we gave it a try. It worked, of course.
This is all interesting, but why would you need to do that? I mean, what was cheaper than fuel? When the car came out, in many places, fuel was 19 cents a gallon.
And the multi-fuel
It's
aspect
up
of it was
$3
really
now.
so- oh my gosh, we could have cashed in on that. But people weren't thinking about the cost of gasoline just yet.
The world's most exciting car, which will run on any fuel.
Any fuel.
Skin is exfoliating.